Switching gears a little bit, as far as on-course strategy and managing your game on the course, how does that influence your confidence and your results?
Now, when you say on-course strategy, are you speaking about like club selection and maybe not they're going for it kind of stuff, or is it more just your mental strategy and your attitude?
Well, I guess I'm referring to course management. So, do you plan your round before you go out there, or do you kind of make your decisions as you go along? Does that change your confidence level, or do you not use course management much except for on the course decisions?
The course management stuff is, I think when you get to, the professional level, you've played enough golf that, it should be pretty obvious what the decisions on most holes should be or where your strengths are and stuff like that. I honestly think course management is probably the most overrated part of the game. You can sit there and plan any strategy you want, but if you can't hit the ball when you're looking, there's no point. Course strategy is, I think, a part of this, but I think it's very basic and not hard to figure out, depending on the golf course, you play a course like St. Andrews and the wind howling and you're playing the British Open, you got to know that golf course in and out to make the right decisions, whereas, some courses are very straightforward and, you just got to get between the trees and try to hit it close and make the putt. For me, course strategy is it's just something that's kind of just down to it's just second nature more than anything. And I don't plan on fooling around because you can plan on what club you should have a general idea what club you're going to hit depending on the conditions and know what you hit the day before in those kind of conditions. But then it goes back to visualization for me. I could visualize hitting a driver off the first hole, let's say, and then get up there and it's dead downwind and there's a creek at 320 and you got to hit a hybrid 3 wood off the tee, So your visualization kind of is just out the window. So and that's the way I do it. If there's other people that find that very helpful, then by all means, the type of players that talk about stuff like that, it really helps them. It's just not something for me that's made much sense, and I find it pretty redundant.
Yeah. Okay. So when you're actually going through the routine of hitting your shot, can you describe the optimal attitude for you when you're hitting a shot or a putt?
Man, I hate to say it, it's so cliche, but just being present, having a quiet mind, or having your mind focused on exactly what you need to be focused on. It's so cliche, but at the same time, it's definitely true. I find that meditations help me improve that, keep my mind quiet. And when I say quiet, I don't mean like there's nothing in my mind. I mean my mind's able to focus exactly what I need to focus on without distraction. That's definitely been the biggest thing for me over the golf ball is when my mind starts racing and a million things go around. You start looking at the target quick and you lift the club away from the ball quick. That's when the bad shots happen, when you're, just taking care of business and in the place you need to be. That's when you're going to get your best results, and that's when you're going to be in control of your golf game.
Yeah. So when you say focus your mind, are you talking about focusing on the flag or the target, or are you referring to, a swing thought?
Well, it could be any one of those things.
Yeah, okay.
It could be any one of those things. Some players are totally attached to the target. They don't think about the swing. Some players line up and get their alignment right to the target, and then once they're locked into their alignment, okay, their key on their swing is, let's say, to turn the hips or whatever your swing key is. But I think the most important thing is being able to control your mind enough and be disciplined with your mind and your focus, that you're focusing on what you need to focus on. Your focus isn't shifting around. Your focus isn't, thinking, oh, no, I can't, I don't want to hit it in the trees over there or something like that. Like your focus is on, okay, let's line it correctly. Okay, line up, correct. And then, do what you got to do, or, your whatever your internal somatic kind of routine is over the ball. But I definitely not saying to have an empty mind, but a calm, clear mind that's focused exactly on what you're doing and not getting ahead of yourself or behind yourself. That's the ideal way to be over the ball as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, yeah. Last question. So, most players would agree that the higher level that you get to, the more important, mental elements become in your success. And, some people say 75 to 90% of golf is won with your mind. Do you agree with that number? 90% of it is mental?
I rephrase that, maybe just saying that mental game becomes more and more important as your physical skills improve.
Okay.
I mean, if you took 10 perfectly physically talented players of the same ability, then yes, the mental game is going to be what wins. But if you take a 30 handicap with an amazing mental game versus a tour player having a bad week, like, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's, so I just think as your physical skills get better and better, then the mental game becomes that much more important. And it is still, like sometimes I feel like it's a strange question because sometimes I feel like golf's like 50-50. Sometimes I feel it's like 80 physical and 20 mental because if you're hitting it good, what are you really going to do to mess yourself up? And then sometimes I feel like it's 90% mental, 10% physical. That's, I don't know, it's golf, man. It just feels like it's something different every day.
Yeah.
I know for me, I'd say it's more of a 50-50 thing. But for other players, they feel it's more of a 90-10 thing. So I think it's different for every person, but at the end of the day, I mean, some of those things, I think everyone can attest to the play of golf. I mean, your faults at life or show up as your faults in your golf game, especially I think mentally, if you doubt yourself in life, I think you'll doubt yourself on the course, and it's a pretty cool tool to, like I said, a mirror to yourself to kind of, show you where you need to improve, and I think that's what a lot of people end up, sticking with the game and enjoy it so much.
Yeah. So, at your level, obviously, as you've said, the better you are and the better your physical game is, the more important the mental side becomes. Do you spend quite a bit of time on, learning, practicing, improving your mental game with some of the stuff we've talked about?
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. I spent a lot of time working with Paul. We go on the phone, we go over concepts, we check in and see how my context is, see, how my meditation's going, how, what my plan is, what my goals are. I mean, absolutely, yeah, that's stuff that's, definitely invest time, and money and effort into all those things, no question. For me, like I said, I think more, at least this year anyways, more of my effort's been going into, time in the gym and my golf swing and stuff like that, because in the past, my mental game and, my ability that way has been strong. I haven't been the most physically talented player from day one. So I think as a result, my mental game and competitive nature and all that kind of stuff had to really kind of come through the forefront for me to be successful and get to where I am right now. But at the same time, I'm lucky that's kind of a strong side of my game. So, a lot of my efforts going into the physical side. But, no question. I mean, I don't know of anyone on the PGA Tour, any professional I've been with that doesn't spend at least meaningful amount of time, investing in learning and practicing and getting better at the mental side of things.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Mike, it's been really great having a chat with you tonight, and you've had some great insights to share with the listeners, and I really appreciate your openness in discussing your strategies and the elements of golf psychology that have made you successful. Any closing comments for you?
The only closing comments I guess I would make for everyone that's listening is, I think the most important thing is just find what works for you. For me, some of the context has been a great tool. Maybe for someone else it doesn't make much sense, and maybe affirmations are better or visualizations better. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer with any of this. I mean, I think, if maybe with all the stuff I talked about, if take one little thing, maybe say, oh, it makes sense, or maybe I'll try that and it works. I mean, that's a huge success. So, I mean, it's kind of a accumulation of everything, and I mean, you can't be afraid to try different stuff and try and learn. There's no one answer out there, but I think you see, like we've talked about, there's definitely a lot of trends between, most successful players, and people in business or golf or everyone look at it, and people maybe that are just having marginal success. So,
you know what, I think that's great advice, and everybody needs to figure out what works best for them. And I think you've opened the door to some things that have worked for you, and for those listening, they can give those a try and think about those and apply them as they see appropriate. So, again, thanks for joining me, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye-bye.